Hi, Richard Crosby here from Belgotex in New Zealand, and I'm here to tell you that wood is back. Finally, it's come back for a variety of reasons, mainly because of durability, which has often been neglected in the wood category. But we ourselves at Belgotex have discovered a new hardened timber category that solves many of the concerns previously had within the timber world. And I'm going to take you through all the key sales aspects of this new category so you have the confidence to deliver it to your customers. BJELIN has been brought to us from Sweden when a demand for wood flooring still remained, but the performance aspect of it lacked. So what they've done is innovated BJELIN Woodura through a variety of means, utilising less timber to maximise performance. So what is BJELIN Woodura? First, it is a multiple construction format similar to the previous engineered timber in concept, but enhanced. So we're still utilising UV cured acrylic lacquer on top. We have an extra matte finish from that process, and what that does is actually embed deeper into our top layer. So previous engineered timber, we used to see 3-4 mil top layers, and you focus on sanding or the ability to resand. However, with BJELIN Woodura and this technology, you do not need to concern yourself with that thought process at the point of sale. That is largely in part to that lacquer embedding deeper into the surface, but also Woodura technology that sits underneath our top layer. So that fills any weak points in the capillary cells of the oak, and it makes it more dent, impact, and scratch resistant than standard engineered timber. Our core board, while some might look at it and think they've taken shortcuts, it's a cheaper core board, it's absolutely not the case. We use an ultra high density fibre core board that gives us much greater stability, that allows us to profile a tight locking mechanism using the 5G system. We then seal those edges to ensure that we don't have water penetration through our floor. The backing layer is out of spruce. It's there for balancing purposes, but also allowing us to have the ability to glue it down should your customer want. Some of the key warranty standpoints on BJELIN to offer your customers primarily is the moisture protection warranty, 15 years covered by us. If any moisture comes through the joint and compromises that floor, we will cover it. Outside appliance failure and flooding, of course. Now, the residential wear warranty is 35 years. Now, you won't see another timber product in the market with an extensive warranty like that. That is how confident we are in the wear and durability of this floor. A big concern for customers when purchasing timber is knowing exactly where it's from and the fact that it's been sourced sustainably. At BJELIN, we're lucky enough to be PFC and FSC certified, which means we're looking after the forests in which we use and managing them sustainably. So if we cut an oak tree down, for example, we are planting 2 more in its place. And typically an oak tree grows about 80 to 120 years, so we need to look after them. Now, we are also lucky enough to have Croatian felled oak. Now what that means is that the Croatian coast actually absorbs a lot of salt air and settles on the oak trees. So it grows really fast and we get beautiful grain structure from that. So it's an awesome selling point to promote to your customers. Now, because typically an oak tree grows from 80 to 120 years, we're lucky enough to actually harvest 100% of that resource. Through a new method of slicing, we can actually soak those oak logs 80 degrees for 24 hours. That softens the oak with the ability to then slice it. Now, because we are slicing it rather than sawing it, we're not producing wood dust. So that means 100% of that tree can go into BJELIN Woodura. That in turn actually allows us better availability of what we call prime grade or A and B grading. It's typically very, very hard to source in the engineered timber market, and we have that readily available in BJELIN, which is fantastic. Typically 10 to 15% of that oak tree can only be A and B. So we're maximising that through our slicing process with BJELIN. Installation. With BJELIN Woodura, you have the option of both floating it and gluing it down. Now, given it is a wood-based product, you will have customers leaning towards glue down. However, I don't want to scare you around a floating floor installation. At Belgotex, we've invested a lot into both the product that we've chosen to distribute here in New Zealand, so quality made product, strong high density fibre core with a fantastic joining system and a fantastic underlay. So we've got multiple underlay options to support the joints, reduce a lot of the deflection underfoot, and reduce a lot of that tappiness that you can hear, which is negatively associated with floating floors. Now, in terms of the subfloor preparation, we want it relatively flat. We want to make it relatively even. So anything outside of 3 mil variances, we want to obviously leveling compound, or we want to grind those highs back. So 3 mil over 2 meters is your standpoint. Underlay does take out a little bit of a buffer there, but we don't want to rely on that when installing. We want a good customer outcome, minimal deflection underfoot. And another good point with floating timber floors is with BJELIN Woodura, because of that core board, we're not using spruce, ply, or Havia. We can actually run longer and wider raft sizes typically than previous engineered timbers. So as a starting point, you have 13 meters by 13 meters. If you need to go longer or wider, you can happily send a floor plan through to your local Belgotex rep, and we can support you through that process of extending that floor without the need of pesky control joints. With BJELIN Woodura, we're lucky enough to have 100% matching profiles. So with timber flooring, the need to have a matching profile is high with customers. It's an expectation. So we have a few options available. Here we have a reducer. So that's reducing between 2 different height levels in a complete match of every colour that we have available here in Australia and New Zealand. We have a T-mold for transitioning between 2 different areas of hard flooring. We then have the beloved stair nosing. So this is solid oak, unlike our other profiles, which are a veneer wrapped trim to match every one of our floors. It's a good point to note that these accessories will oxidize and change colour over time alongside your floor, which is fantastic. That's what you want. And our solid timber nosings are available in XL and soon to be large and small moving forward. Because we care about the customer's expectations, we've gone to the extensive effort of sourcing high-grade closed foam underlay to go alongside your floating floor applications. So what we have here is 2. We have our premium, which we call Aqua Elite. This has 109 compression strength, which helps with that deflection underfoot, supporting the joints, and also an increase in acoustics as well. This is our Aqua Performance, what we would call our entry point. However, it's actually a mid-spec underlay against our competitors. This has a 110 SD vapor rating. Our Aqua Elite has 88. So what that means is basically over a wet concrete slab, whilst you should still be following local practice and codes, guidelines, we can mitigate some of that risk with a vapor barrier. So that's talking about rising moisture from the concrete slab at a rate that doesn't affect the product. A lot of cheaper underlays out there don't have vapor barriers. They allow moisture to rise through, impacting the core, the joints, and so forth. So you can be rest assured with these options, you've got a fantastic underlay. Another fantastic USP when talking to your customers about BJELIN Woodura is the fact that we don't have shorter boards or nested lengths, unlike the engineered timber category. It's becoming a bit of an issue out there as the resource gets harder and harder to source, the oak, the other species of walnut and so forth. More and more shorter boards are coming into your floor. So what that means is an increase in your wastage. You have to increase your wastage to account for these shorter boards because customers do not want them in their floor. Now, if you're on the floor selling, talking about timber, you can be rest assured that the board size that you pitch and promote will be there on the day of install. There's no concern around shorter boards with anything in our hardened timber category. Okay, with timber, there's an important aspect to cover off with your customers, and that's grading. Now, unlike our competitors in the engineered timber market, we do have readily available A, B grade, or what we call select. So that's more of the premium look, less knots, less variation, less features of wood. Now, we do still understand that some customers will want that variation, knots and medullary rays and growth rings, etc. So what we also have available is this. This is nature grading. So this is a good balance. It's not overwhelming. It's not going to distract you from the rest of the house and the look with an overwhelmingly rustic floor. It's going to be nice and well balanced. Now, when it comes to installation, there are times where installers unfortunately make shorter cuts or get their cuts wrong. And sometimes with strong locking mechanisms, it can be difficult to pull those boards apart and restart a new row. So what BJELIN actually have is this, a 5G dismantling pin. So that goes into the ends of those 2 boards dismantles that locking mechanism so you can uplift the board and relay a new one in its place. This ensures that you don't need to damage the locking mechanism and replace more boards. Now, once you've got that freshly laid timber floor down, it's important to care for it in the right way. A lot of issues we see are citrus-based cleaners going on top of the timber floor, leaving a film and a residue and continually cleaning it. It's getting dirtier and dirtier, so we want to avoid that from day one. Utilizing the likes of Bona or very, very good branded cleaning operations like spray kits. We don't want to do buckets of hot soapy water. You do not need that. It is gone from the thinking of caring for your timber floor nowadays. We also don't need to be concerned about dirt getting embedded into the surface of our timber floor. Our coating gets deep into the surface, into the capillary cells, the low points. We don't have deep, heavy brushing as well. So the concern around dirt getting embedded in there and staying there is not an issue with BJELIN Woodura. Hi, so in summary guys, we've covered off a lot about BJELIN here. We've covered off the performance, the beauty, the sustainability story, the history of BJELIN, the installation aspects. We've got a good understanding on how to pitch this to our customers moving forward, don't we? So the important thing moving forward is to be confident, understand the product, reach out if you don't know. We'll be here to help you at Belgotex in Australia or New Zealand moving forward. Good luck and enjoy.